Hey guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce, and thank you again for your company this morning. Let me know if you enjoyed that previous segment, and I'm also wanting to hear what some of your expectations are for this brand new week. 22999 is the SMS line. Remember, I do have a book giveaway coming up later in the show, so you want to stay tuned for details so that you can begin sending in your messages and stand a chance to win it. Right now, though, we're going to be talking about transitioning from employment into business. And joining us here on the show, we have Kaberia Bairu. Karibu tena to the show.
Thank you so much, Joyce.
Great. Now, of course, I think this is sort of like maybe the dream or the desire for a lot of people. But maybe this year in 2020, we found ourselves having to consider it a little faster than we thought than we thought we would. Maybe we thought another 3 years, and then 2020 between COVID and everything else, a lot of people have had to think outside of the box and think of other options. And so that's kind of what we want to talk about today. It definitely sounds exciting to be an entrepreneur and to be in charge of your own time and to say all of those nice things. But putting it into practice is not as easy as a lot of people sort of imagine it to be. And you actually run your own business. Tell us a bit about your experience. When did that begin?
Well, thank you so much for having me at the show. And the dream of running my own consultancy company started when I was in the employment. I was employed first at the KCB Foundation, and the department I was in were doing enterprise development, supporting the businesses of young people on a program called Tujiajiri. And during that time, as we were supporting the young people to start and grow their businesses, I saw there was a very big gap because most of these businesses were falling in the first year. So I came and saw that there was a need at the hand to come up with a solution. So I just had to prepare myself and start a consultancy company which would not only support the youths, but also other people who want to start their businesses and do want to scale their businesses. So that now my experience brought in now the birth of Setpiece Consultancy Limited, which offers services on business advisory and corporate training on matters of customer service, effective selling strategy, and other aspects of business.
I see. And how long ago was that?
Well, I left employment 1.5 years ago. And I registered my company formally. Just last week, we marked our first anniversary in business. And now at least it has been a learning experience, and also been able at least to create impact to a couple of businesses in the country.
Right. So you, as much as you had the idea though, for starting the business, it wasn't necessarily up and running by the time you resigned.
Yeah, it wasn't up and running, but one of the things which really prompted me to resign is because I was really getting a lot of, let me say, inquiries from people like, we saw you doing this, maybe in that, can you be able to support us as individuals? So when the inquiries became many and more, at least I got one big client who was willing to commit. And so I said, now at least this client is going to keep me going, and at least I can be able now to cling on this, as I also be able now to market my company better. So at least I had proper planning even before I tendered my resignation letter. I'd made sure at least I have a pipeline of at least one anchor and promising client, as now I look for other clients.
And that's very important, because I think a lot of people make the mistake of kind of just jumping into it, and then so you resign today and you don't have a plan for tomorrow. So you don't even know what you're waking up to do tomorrow. And that can find you in a lot of trouble, because a lot of people have this debate of, you know, should I start a business while I'm in employment, or should I just, you know, actually you're going to say you're the father of faith like Abraham, and just go. What would you sort of recommend?
I think one of the things I've had a taste of both aspects, and I think the best thing is to be honest, business is not easy, and we have a lot of ambitions, hopes that when I'll start profitability, you know, making money, getting clients. It does not always come to that. So it's good when you're still in employment, you just start building your brand while still there. Start marketing yourself, start looking for customers. So the time you quit, at least you are not quitting to start. You are quitting to develop something which you have already started.
Absolutely. So a lot of people also then kind of do business maybe on something that they've seen other people doing, maybe it's just as I don't want to call it a small talent, but maybe just happens to be something that they happened to have done well, and someone recognized them, and they gave them a great compliment and said, "By the way, you know, you're good at this thing," or "Wow, you did that very well," and automatically they think, "Okay, this could be my business."
Exactly.
I want us to discuss doing business based on and aligning it to your skill and your passion versus what is just hot and trendy.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Zangine Sisi wa Kenya, we are very much on the hot and trendy side.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Well, basing on the various practices and culture we have in Kenya, as you've said, people really sometimes they follow the waves. And that's why we have had experiences like the quill business, you know, when everyone was doing it, sorry, people rushed to do that because other people are doing it. And there's a hype that when you do this, you know, you're making money. But at times you see that wave is short-lived. It does not go for a long time. And also passion is not enough to keep you in business. You know, I may be a passionate singer, but still I may not have that drive to commercialize the passion.
Right.
You know, you need that drive, entrepreneurial drive that apart, like you're a talented musician, and there's a way now you have commercialized that, at least there is some revenue stream from that, maybe. So it's good also to look apart from the passion. How can I make money from this passion? For example, I'm so passionate on matters on public speaking and training. So I was able now to be able to package that now to be a business whereby we offer talks on business and training services which deals with talks.
Right.
So it's good also you align your passion and a commercial path so as you can make it a business.
Right.
Yeah.
The other challenge, though, about entrepreneurship and kind of diving into business from being in employment is suddenly you're the one who's actually responsible for everything. And now you're the leader. So before, you didn't have to, as long as you got your paycheck at the end of the month, you didn't have to worry about if the electricity bill has been paid on time, you know, if your suppliers have been paid on time. It wasn't necessarily your job. And you find then a lot of people sort of enter into business, but really they don't have leadership experience. And there's this thing about being promoted. Sometimes you're promoted to your level of your incompetence. Meaning you're promoted to a place where you actually don't have it figured out. And so you end up doing worse in that place because you were not ready for it. How does one prepare themselves then to sort of lead and to now be the one who is fully responsible for everything when, you know, previously they were the ones who were just doing as they're told?
One thing I believe is that to be a good leader, you must be a good follower. If you're in employment, it's good you start respecting the authority if you have really good plan to go to entrepreneurship. Because what you do, it will still come back to you when you start your own. So, and people learn by seeing. So if you are not respecting the authority, maybe at the employment level, you don't expect your staff or subordinates to do the same in business. So I would encourage you first, you train yourself to make hard decisions. And I think that's now the key thing in every leadership, making hard decisions. At times there comes, maybe at the end of the month, I have salaries to pay, I have rent to pay, but now you find there's no cash flow, like you don't have money at that point. So you really need to develop the negotiation skills, like what are these decisions, quick decisions you need to make? You need to talk to your staff, you know, nicely, you need to talk to your landlord, and there are other bills which need to be paid. And you cannot develop this skill by just a one-off event. It's something which you cultivate by learning. This is now, in case I'm in this situation, I have to have negotiation skills. I need also to know how to put myself on the deep end to swim out. So I think leadership is also developed by also consulting and having mentors. I think for me, one of the things which has assisted me is having mentors who are in business. Because sometimes I'm in between a rock and a hard place, and really I have that person I can call and say, hi, please, when you're in this situation, how did you do? So at least I am able to learn from them, and also reading a lot of books. Like one of the habits which I advise every entrepreneur to have is to read books. You read on how the big brand, like in the US, were able to start up, you know, the local context in Kenya. And from that, you'll be able now to learn a lot, and you know that you are not the only person who is passing through this.
Absolutely. Remember, 22999 is the SMS line. You can send in your feedback and your comments. And as we continue then, because I love what you've said, though, that, you know, we can be passionate about something, but that doesn't necessarily mean you go into business in that area, right? There's work to be put in, and there needs to be that drive to be able to do the work. Because like we keep saying, no one in this world is going to, it's not their life mission to come and help help you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to sort out their own life and
Yeah.
their own business. So even if you have the passion for something, you have to have the drive.
Exactly.
So in between, so passion, skill, obviously, building up your competence
Yeah.
through reading and whatnot are all important things. But I want us to narrow down a little bit as far as how to actually clearly identify what your gap should be. Because we also hear that there's nothing new under the sun,
Yeah.
right? So ideas and things, they all kind of just revolve, and we
Yeah.
find ourselves really back at the same core. But the ones who thrive are the ones who've either figured out a new or an innovative way to bring it out.
Exactly.
So how does one actually identify a gap?
Right.
Especially when you know there are other businesses out
Yes,
there doing
yes.
that. How do you actually identify this is the gap that I think I'm competent and skilled and passionate enough to fill?
Well, that is a question I've received a lot of times, especially at this time of COVID, when we have had so many people expressing their interest to join our business. And I receive calls and email asking me, now, you know, what should I do exactly? Which is that business should I should do?
Right.
But you see, one of the things which inspire most of the entrepreneurs is the environment. Looking at even the likes of Bill Gates, you know, Steve Jobs, it's now the environment in which they are. Sometimes, like you may be in a position and you see there is that thing which is really missing in some situation, what we call the complaints. What have you complained about? What is your neighbor complaining about? It may be now the clean water, the availability of sustainable water in the estate. You know, that now should move from now being a complaint to a business.
Right.
Because a business or entrepreneurship is whereby you see a gap and you feel
You're
a gap.
bringing a solution.
You're bringing in a solution, exactly.
Yeah.
You may find out that sometime, you know, there is a lot of traffic in maybe along, let's say, Mombasa Road.
Tell me about it.
And you see, there is someone who has spotted a business opportunity from that. There actually somebody who benefits from that.
Yeah.
The hawkers, they like so much when there's traffic. They make a lot of selling.
True.
And there are also some, you know, food retailers and all that.
Yeah.
To them, that's an opportunity.
True.
So I advise people, don't do a lot of research. You know, sometimes we call it analysis paralysis. You know, you want to over-research, you know, make a nice business plan, you know a balance sheet and all that. Please just keep that aside. Just think like an illiterate at the local level, at my community, at my home. Is it that if you are home of 5 people and everyone buys airtime of 50 shillings per day, so and you are in a home of 5 people, that's 250 shillings. If you start now that thing of even selling airtime at your local home, you know, you are now at least trying to bring in a solution that you don't have
Right.
to walk far to get airtime.
Right.
And bring it because there's a need for it
Right.
and there's a market for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So think locally and look at the surrounding environment before you go and thinking wide and then confuse yourself and later discourage yourself.
That's a great point, Kaberia, because I think sometimes you're right. Analysis paralysis is a real thing.
Yeah.
And we can get really bogged down just imagining how we are building the next big multinational global corporation,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
we want to
yes.
call ourselves Joyce Omondi Wahiga International. Yani mjue.
Global.
Global. But I
Yeah.
love how you're saying think local and
Yeah.
just start right in your environment.
Exactly.
And build your proficiency, build your commitment
Yeah.
from them. As we wrap up though, there was something you talked about when you were doing your transition about you had started, you encourage people to start marketing themselves even while you're in employment, or at least to start putting together the foundational blocks of your business.
Yeah.
How do you actually do that? Talk about finding a client base and marketing yourself to them. Because tunajua wale wame establish biashara by stealing from their old employer,
Yeah.
which is not a good thing. Like, just don't do that.
In fact, one of the things which I'll say, I have a very nice employer and a very nice boss by the name Jane Mwangi, if I may mention her. She's the executive director of KCB Foundation. In my just first year, because I was employed by them for only 2.5 years, she told me, you know what, I would like you one day to own your own consultancy company. Because I've seen you are a good trainer, you know, you are good on the matters of business. And in fact, she gave it a name, Kaveri and Associates. So that really kept inspiring me. And they gave me a lot of exposure that I really needed because I was given opportunities to do what I loved.
Yeah.
And I was also given even the exposure. When the president was launching the youth empowerment program, I was chosen as the person to present to the president.
Wow, well
and
done.
again, now I started now using my social media. And one thing I advise people, you know, social media is a free platform. You
Yeah.
don't have actually to spend money on it. If you see my social media, it is always I keep advising people on business, marketing myself, branding my company and all that.
Yeah.
At no cost.
Yeah.
And that, people get to identify you with a certain solution.
Right.
And sometimes we get phone calls from people we don't know, I got your number from social media, I got your number from this. And we've been able to do quite some big businesses for government, for private sector, for real estate. And we really want to advise people. Market yourself. You don't have to go to the maybe expensive all those channels and all that, but also maybe as you are starting, you can now be able at least to start with the social media as you scale now to other mainstream and all that. Yes.
Absolutely. Wow, my time is up, but thank you to those of you who've sent in your SMSs. Maybe very quickly, is there someone here is asking, other than passion, what is one skill you would encourage all of our viewers here to ensure that they have to start business?
Well, I'll say persistence.
Persistence.
Yes.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Someone here is asking, Ati, if I have 20K, which business can I venture into this amount with? I feel like in a way that's taking away from that. That's looking at it the wrong way, because what you're saying is it's not about the capital.
Exactly.
It's not about how much money you have right now. It's about your passion, your persistence, and you finding a solution in the area and the environment that you're in. I think we can answer that question that way. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's very okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Kaberia, how can people find you?
Well, people can be able to find me. They can be able to find our company on Facebook. You search Setpiece Consultancy Limited, setting the piece, Setpiece Consultancy Limited. And on my also personal account, it's HON Kaberia Bariu. And now you'll be able now also to find our website, www.setpiece.co.ke. And you'll be able to find our services, and we'll be greatly honored to support you grow and scale your business.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Great conversation with you. And with that said, we're going to take a break now as we get ready for the second hour of our show. We have about 4 minutes until the top of the hour. Coming up next, we have a book giveaway, remember, and we're also going to be in our Full Circle with Joyce book club. And today we'll be reviewing a book on wisdom and wealth. And you want to make sure you stay tuned for that conversation. We're also going to have some young entrepreneurs and students from a university here in Nairobi joining us later on in the show. 22999 is the SMS line. I'll see you after this.